So we have Bitcoin pushing towards all-time highs again. We have Ethereum also looking good, Hyperliquid breaking out. So we have a lot to discuss today. So in this stream with Paradise, we're going to do a rapid fire run through some of the charts that matter ahead of a very big day in crypto. Paradise, take it away. What are you seeing on Bitcoin? Pretty bullish opening for the US yesterday.
Yeah, indeed. I think we streamed last Thursday, so less than a week ago. And I think at that point, we were just looking at this weekly FVG to get run. I think we were sitting up here somewhere around like 104. No, we just swept the 103K level when we spoke last. So since then, we ran down into that weekly FVG. We took out all those stack lows, pretty much this key low here. And that was just, a straight Dalai V reversal off the bottom. I closed my position too early into H4 trend. I saw basically shorts covering, then late longs chasing to this, looking at order flow. So I closed early, but then, it's just basically continued squeeze up from there with no real meaningful pullback. But the trade I posted in the group was basically along from this level into the 110K level, which we're now potentially rejecting at almost to the T. We just got to see sort of what it's doing. Had like a fake out when I was looking at order flow earlier. So, if we get a pullback on this, I suppose there's two scenarios I drew earlier for the group with these squiggles here. Either looking for a reclaim of this level and push up, or a pullback into this high time frame like 107K level. Also got like a 4-hour demand in there. So I think anywhere from like 108K down to 106, which is the level we discussed last week. It is this daily resistance, which is now flipped. So any pullback into that pocket there is kind of where I'm looking for stuff. If we start getting back above the level, I think I was actually just looking at flow earlier. Yeah, so we had like big positive delta into the level, but OI started selling off. It's indicative of like shorts getting squeezed instead of actual buying interest. If we push into this level again and actually show like open interest increasing and strong positive delta, we break above, then I think we probably look to bid some sort of pullback into this 110K level, taking out targeting all-time high. Whether we sweep all-time high and reject, or whether we just squeeze above that and keep pushing, remains to be seen. But they're kind of the levels I'm watching for now on this. By the way, I've got that.
I've got to say you played it pretty well, because we talked about in the last stream, if people were there last Tuesday, about sweeping like the 101K zone. We went down there. I think you would have gotten a few orders filled. I'll show people that video. We said one last dip. One last shakeout was the title on alts, and you discussed that, and then we sweep that level, and then my screen wasn't showing. This video here, sweep that level. Then you also talked about the reclaim trade of 106 into 110. So yeah, been a pretty good week. But I guess on the high time frame perspective, like if we zoom out a little bit, like when do you see Bitcoin breaking? I think that's what a lot of people are like wondering. Is this just going to be another like double top, or are we going to push up and finally go to that 120?
Yeah, it really depends if we make a higher low here. So basically, like it's a weekly FVG. We swept kilo into it. That's like a very bullish signal. We also bounced off the daily noodle, and it really just does rely on this point here, kind of at a key inflection point. We either get above this level here at 110. I think all-time high there's very little resistance up here. I think it'd be quite easy to attack all-time high. Otherwise, we're just looking for a higher low to form into this level here. So we haven't really had a good pullback. We get something like that and like low time frame bullish structure. So high highs, high lows on like the hourly, the 15-minute or whatever. Potentially a long scenario there. You see if it can actually pop this level. I'd probably be holding it into that. If it starts rejecting, potentially look to short it, or at least unwind some profit. But if we get back above that, then I'd be holding into new all-time highs. Because we had no real meaningful pullback, then effectively the market structure lowers down here at the 100K level. So I'm not really looking for that. I think as low as you'd want to see it go is probably down to this like 106, 105K level. So we lose 106K, then we start basically trading under the daily resistance level again. But then
it's just one big range, basically.
Effectively. I mean, it looks pretty rangy at the moment, right? If I actually had to remove all this, then the range is just simply this low to, it's effectively the range we're in now. So just looking for the range rotation of the lows. There's a nice deviation there. Pop back above the EQ. We're just looking at the highs right now. And it's quite possible, like you said, we could actually just potentially do the same on the other end. We could come up to a deviation of the high.
It's just funny to me, and we're going to talk about alts in a second here. But it's funny to me, like the whole of my X feed is like super euphoric again, and it seems to always happen into resistance. Like every single time we pop into resistance, it's like it's alt season, everything's about to explode. And then like a few days ago, when Bitcoin tagged 101, it was like it's over. That was a double top. So it's like it's just crazy to me. Like people always get so bullish into and bearish into support and resistance.
Yeah, I think a lot of people like directional traders that don't rely so much on technicals, or narrative traders, whatever. It's not traders at all, just investors. But they see green and they expect up to continue. But you're just looking at key levels, especially when you read order flow. Like these key levels don't mean much unless you actually see what's behind the scenes. I can't actually pull up Velo right now because it's on a separate window that's recording. But yeah, you kind of want to see the story that's unfolding there. So with this one, I was considering if we got back above it to long, but then when I saw open interest selling off as delta is increasing and liquidations happening, I was like, all right, it's actually shorts covering, not new long interest. So it's a good thing to learn on the side of your sort of technical analysis to sort of get a story of what's happening at these levels. Yeah.
You've got stocks also pushing, pretty much just off all-time highs. So that helps the crypto market. That's one of the reasons why I think Bitcoin has this bid.
Oh man, how insane is that V reversal off the bottom? SPX, like NASDAQ, all of it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I think Trump's kind of shown his hand with the whole deficit thing, that they're just willing to keep the money printer going, which I guess is good in the short term if you're in risk assets. But I don't know what the long term implications are going to be. I think, I don't know. I think honestly, stocks can go a lot higher, which is kind of a bit scary. I think. I think the stage is set here.
They haven't really. I mean, they made a bottom in 2002 and they've done nothing but go up. Even if you just were bidding, I was looking at this the other day just for fun. If you were just bidding stocks on like sweeps into the monthly noodle, you've just done well since you've pretty much done well since 2010 playing that same thing. They just never really pull back below the noodle. Briefly closed below it in this cluster here, which is probably like the worst pullback we've had in a while. Yeah, it's crazy. It's insane, this V reversal here, man.
I actually bidded that wick. I did a video on it actually at the time where I told people I made my biggest Bitcoin buys. I was on the couch, which is quite funny. Biggest Bitcoin and stock buys ever in this video here on April 5th, when everyone was freaking out. I said, why I'm buying Bitcoin and crypto now. Everyone's wrong. That was a good, and these were my biggest buys. So that was a good, they were very good buys. But I'm cognizant of time, so let's just get into maybe like Ethereum, because that seems to be leading the altcoin market right now. And I saw it wicked this morning above 2,700. So interested to see how this is looking structurally.
So, I mean, there's just one level, right? It's just this. I've actually been buying some spot on this because we finally got a retest on the daily noodle. I think it was this morning. Yeah, I did a tweet on this morning. Basically, this is all looking good, this consolidation, but I really wanted to see some sort of sweep of liquidity, or at least a push into the daily noodles, like a trend reset. And we got that. So this gave me much more credence for an actual breakout of this level. I actually had a fair bit of faith in this once we started sweeping this. We didn't really have enough information to prove that this is like a resistance level that we're going to compress into. I think right now this is looking much more healthy since we've actually tagged into the noodle there. So just want to say push above. Obviously, Asia session's pretty dead, but we're technically above it now. We had an actual close above it by a hair. So not much to report on, really. I just am tracking this and sort of tracking ETH BTC as well, which is also looking really good.
Consolidate above that level.
Yep. And we've had 1, 2, 3 touch points to validate this is a trend line now, compressing between the noodle and the trend line. This is like one of my bread and butter setups. If we get some sort of sweep of these lows again and then compress it the third time, or just some sort of lower time frame compression here right now without the sweep, is pretty indicative of, I think, this will break out to the upside. When I backtest these, is generally have like a 7 to 8 out of 10 hit rate in a bull market when they're compressing between the noodle and a diagonal trend line. So let's see. That was one of my thesis.
For me, ETH is the better trade than Bitcoin right now, just based on the technicals and the sentiment. But obviously, if this happens, and this might be something I touch on in my next video, you'll probably see some of the ETH ecosystem stuff do really well. I mean, Pepe's already up like 10% today. Like some of the DeFi coins are catching a bid, some of the RWA coins, but that's definitely something I think you'll see like ramp up if we get a definitive breakout.
Yeah, 100%. I think AAVE
Even
is looking
AAVE.
brilliant, actually. Yeah.
Mm.
Time frame was looking at. Yeah, it's just a daily. Once again, the compression to the level had a diagonal breakout, which then sort of transposed into the horizontal breakout. I think this is something I want to pick up and spot in any sort of meaningful pullback. Even if we get a pullback into this level, that'd be like very nice, around 270. But I think this can go much higher. It's definitely shown its hand off the bottom here. Like this kind of did the whole BTC pattern, just no real pullbacks. And this consolidation cluster here was nice, but still, like, you know, it hasn't really given you any meaningful levels to pull back into. So I think this one's definitely one you just want to play into the strength as much as you can.
Yeah, so that's ETH. ETH's looking good. Let's have a look at Solana now, because Solana has been a bit weaker than ETH. And I actually made a video last week saying that I was, rotating some of my Sol and have been out to Ethereum because I thought the Sol ETH chart looked pretty bad. And just interesting to see what you've seen since last week on Sol.
Yeah, 100%, man. I think for people that aren't so savvy with technical trading, you can just have your simple trending indicator like the money noodle or something. You look at ETH right now, it's just holding above it, showing strength, bouncing off it. And you look at something like Sol, didn't show any respect, lost it, and now sort of bearishly retested it, potentially bearishly retesting it again. So this has a lot more work to do if you want to sort of frame it that way. ETH is just compressing into a horizontal resistance, whereas this has to get back above horizontal resistance and also sort of dynamic resistance from the noodle, from the trend indicator. So yeah, I think more work to do, but on the weekly, it looks pretty good. Like basically swept last week's low into this weekly order block demand pocket here. But it might take some time to eventuate being the weekly and all. Same for the daily. Need to see it get back above this level here at like 164 to sort of class this as maybe a deviation of this range cluster. But yeah, definitely looks weaker to me. And when you said ETH supply, I tend to agree.
What I'm seeing on chain is a lot of people rotating to base, AVAX. That's where a lot of the big runners are right now. So I think there's a little bit of a rotational effect as well, which is affecting
for sure.
price.
Base has had some amazing volatility.
Yeah,
lately.
I'm going to talk about that later. But yeah, Fartcoin, that's the Sol beta. But I thought I'd mention that because it looked decent. It had like a sweep of that FVG.
Yeah, this is a beautiful one. This is the trade I took in the group, was just buying spot down at these lows. Someone actually made a good point in the group, like, well, if it's lost the daily trend, why are you still buying it? It's because, well, you can buy on a sweep of a kilo into a big demand cluster, and you can at least play the reversion bounce into trend and cut it if it doesn't make it. It's still like a 20% move, but it has just swiftly got back above this structural level. It's just the thing we're looking for on Sol right now. Same thing, get back above the structural level, get back above the daily noodle. So it's done that on Fartcoin. So I haven't cut any of this position yet because it looks, really strong to me. Just want to see it consolidate here and not basically lose this level. Any sort of consolidation here, and I think it just starts to mark up as the trend starts to uptick. So really good market, holding spot, and yeah, plan to keep holding it for a bit, I think.
Yeah, it seems to trade decently.
Yeah. TAO was another one. Drew this little squiggle last night. Hasn't come to fruition. But we had like a big sweep of a kilo into weekly demand. Got back above 4-hour trend, which is also range low. I was looking for some sort of pullback in there, the long, targeting the EQ and the high. Didn't get that. Looks like we're just pushing straight to the EQ. I think now, because of that, unless we get some sort of big sell-off. Yeah. So whenever that happens and I get front run on an idea, I don't really just leave limits down here and wait. I generally just look for the noodle to come up on like the 4-hour something and some sort of retest of that in line with the POI. In terms of POIs, like we have this 4-hour demand cluster here. Maybe the noodle comes up and that sort of chops around here and pulls back into that. But yeah, no clear signal yet, but it is a nice chart. Now it's back in the range, so you just got to play it like a range. SPX has been absolutely tearing.
Yeah, Murad's been unleashing the max shill across TikTok.
He's on
Instagram.
TikTok now. True.
Yeah, he's gotten all the TikTokers in. I mean, it's genius. Good marketer.
He is.
It's one of the only memes approaching all-time highs, where the rest are still down 70, 80%.
Yeah, it's wild, man. And it's like, super constructive PA as well. It's just, higher highs, higher lows the whole way up. It's respecting trends. This reminds me of Fartcoin on that run up that I had, right? It's very
Just no room to
reminiscent of
enter.
this. Yeah, I have not. I've taken a couple of intraday perps trades on it, but I've not caught any of this swing. But yeah, I think this one is, you can just play it structurally. There's a high.
I'm holding a spot bag. Have been for a while, but I wish I held more.
Yeah, I remember you buying spot bag a long time ago.
Yeah, my entry was 50 or 60, and then I'd sold some on the way up, and I'd bought back lower. So my average is probably still around 60. So I'm up like a 2 and a bit X.
Yeah, that's really good. In terms of getting in on trends like this, like you're simply just looking for the trend to be respected and then just certain levels to line up with it. So this is just doing support resistance retest the whole way up, and not supported by daily trend, but probably 12-hour. Yeah, 12-hour had the bounce for each one. You get the retest those two confluence points, and that's generally where I just add to these things on spot when I'm taking swings. AVAX you actually mentioned just before, so it's good we have it in here.
Yeah, it's a hot ecosystem right now. There's honestly a lot of stuff happening on chain. I think most of the action right now in crypto in general is happening on chain this week. Like a few very big meme runners, some big runners on base. So that's where my focus has been. But AVAX, I think, has actually been lagging its eco in terms of its token itself.
It's interesting. It's a hot eco because, AVAX price action doesn't look like anything to write home about, right? I think a lot of stuff looks like this right now. It's just like the Sol chart. Had a really nice sweep here, really nice sweep here, really nice sweep again. But this sweep lately is not pushing up like the other ones, not yet anyway. But it's the same thing as Sol. Has to get over daily trend. It has to get over this structural resistance point. So you can see the nice reversion off the sweep straight into that level, and now it's potentially finding a rejection. So, for anyone interested in it, just like Sol, you're either looking for some sort of pullback into a POI, expecting it to break that level, or personally for me, I generally would want some sort of impulse above and then consolidation above the level. So you're buying strength, buying the right side of V, as they say.
I want to ask you about another coin that's been hot, but it's actually pulling back. KTA. I'm sure you've charted it somewhere because it's been.
Yeah, I actually haven't. I've heard about this thing.
It had some FUD yesterday, which tanked price. So I wonder if you think there's any entries on this now.
You reckon that's the full chart history on Bluefin?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, what date does it start at?
15th of May.
15th of May. Yeah, before that it was just doing nothing, so that's all that matters really.
Yeah, cool. I mean, yeah, I don't know the FUD, so I can't say yay or nay to buy, but it's pulling back in a trend. This would have been some sort of bearish divergence up the top, probably. Yeah, you can see it right there. Beautiful.
It's funny that the bearish divergence is on the chart pre-FUD. It's like it predicts it.
Well, there you go.
It predicts
someone new. I mean, didn't even come to a proper round number, but yeah. Retesting resistance, now support, market structure break level, still effectively holding the H4 trend. Don't know how much weight I put into trend on these things. Depends on the market cap of it. But yeah, you basically want to see it turn around here. Maybe there's like a divergence forming on a lower time frame that can give you an indication.
Yeah, you probably need to have a look at that because maybe bidding this level is a bit risky.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't a downtrend. There's no real bullish divergences forming on it. Give us a sec.
It has been ridiculously strong though, like the community and the hype behind it. As one of the top base runners has been immense. But it did, yeah, I think they got called out for like just having a bunch of creator shills and not having much real tech but that kind of stuff can be buying opportunity. I'm open to buying this personally. I just want to see on the lower time frames if it, like, I want to see if there's a bid basically, and if not, I'll probably wait for that next low, which is 91 cents, which can still happen.
That's the thing, man. Exactly what you said. Like, a lot of people are so hung up on catching the exact peak or low, but like, you can just see if this becomes a deviation. If it does, that's proven to you when it accepts back above this level. Then you know it's deviation, and you can just sort of do the whole right side of V thing. Like, you can either buy at this point, or you can buy it at this point. And on one side, you're buying limits and sort of hoping you're right, and on the right side, you're effectively buying in line with momentum. So yeah, if you get back above that level, I think it'd be a much better case for taking a position in it. You're not buying much higher because it's basically at that level now. So I'll keep that on the watch list. Actually, it's a good one to watch develop because yeah, that strength has been nuts. And this fight off to get reversed pretty quick because no tech in this industry is not much of an argument in my book. Not many things have. So
yeah. And the last one, hyperliquid.
Yeah, cannot fault this chart at all. I was just looking for this play. I actually had bids lower in this FVG down here, which annoyingly did not get filled.
So did I. But
pretty close, man. We're pretty close. Yeah, we spoke about that in the last stream, right? That $30 to $29 level. That was the one, and then
that only happens. That happens if Bitcoin actually lingered around 100. That 101 week was super quick, and probably quicker than I thought. I thought it would be a bit more of a longer recovery, form a base off the lows, maybe sweep 96, reclaim. I thought it was going to be a bit more of a long thing, but it was just a day. So that's why the alts didn't drop. The longer Bitcoin ranges at the bottom of a range, the more altcoins tend to bleed out, and that's where you would have gotten your hype, $30. But it just wicked.
That's exactly right.
So it was back to normal, basically.
Swift and sharp, man. It gave you no time to get on board unless you were low time frame just bidding it. Because like I said, it didn't get any pullbacks. Hype in hindsight was probably an easy one. This 4-hour demand here, wicked into it, held the trend line. And then effectively there's another trade last night on the breakout above it, on this 4-hour close above it. Where your invalidation would have been is up to you. But yeah, I think right now it's once again going for a new all-time high, so we need to see how it reacts with that. But that could have been the dip on this. Fortunately, didn't get filled. Still hasn't tagged the daily noodle yet. Has respected the 12-hour quite a lot on the way up. And to be honest, I probably should have paid more attention that it was tagging the 12-hour again. But when I was just basing it off BTC's price action, I was thinking this probably had a bit more room to run down. And also, I'm not sure it's invalidated yet, but it was forming this, still is 3-day bearish divergence. Obviously not locked in yet, but something else that was sort of keeping me sort of more, with the mindset that we probably would get this run down here. But that's all right. Can't win them all. If we do get a pullback, now that we're broken out of this, I'll be looking to take a position in it, I think. Love to see how it pans out.
Before we head off, any last coin that you think is worth noticing?
I entered 2 positions last night on Launchcoin and Cookie. So Launchcoin was a fairly simple one. We just had key level here, big deviation under it. Once we reclaimed, we gave this perfect retest of it into trend. It's that's my standard setups for these trend reclaims. As long as it's a level reclaim too, you get deviation. Then we pushed up, and I was asleep when this happened. Then we dumped back down to it yesterday when I was on stream, so I bought a bit then. And then we had another push into it last night where I compounded. So I'm just holding that for now. I at least want to see it run this high into 0.234. And then this H4 point of breakdown up here is probably where I'd take profit on it. Maybe the mania starts up again with this thing. So maybe I'd be, wanting to hold it a bit longer. And also Cookie last night was a really simple one. It's just the same thing. Again, posted this on Twitter too. Came down, gave it a perfect market structure break retest in line with the daily noodle. And that was it. Just bought some spot there. And currently I want to see that come back up to the daily supply and potentially take out this high that was made. But I think for now, I'm just looking to take some off, which had actually front run just before at these equal highs, which is now triple equal highs. So effectively just going to take maybe 33 or 50% off there, depending on how it reacts when I'm watching it. And any pullback is the H4 noodle. I'm looking to compound this and pick up some more, I think. So I think this,
just very generally with altcoins, to wrap up here, what's your overall strategy? Are you risk on right now as long as Bitcoin holds a certain level? Is there a general framework you're basing your altcoin trading off in regards to Bitcoin's price action?
No, so they were just nice setups. But yes, to answer your question, basically if BTC starts breaking out with force, with momentum above all-time high, I think, obviously dominance will take over then with BTC. So a lot of alts will still lag behind. Generally, it actually gives you a brief window or sometimes a longer window. Depends what it is. You have to gauge it. But when you break out above all-time high, and it has that strong momentum and dominance is, being dominant, then alts will just be a bit slow off the mark. And if you're fairly convinced that that's going to continue up, then you can start bidding those alts, especially if like structurally they're good and they're making high highs, high lows, reclaiming levels and whatnot. So with this right now, I want to see this level in here hold as a high low. That's like 108 down to 106. I want to see some sort of bounce there. That would give me more credence to enter into spot positions. Or I'm just waiting for us to break out with some momentum and basically that, just momentum and confirmation above all-time high. If we start losing this level down here at like 105, even 106 to 105, we'll be pretty, risk averse because there's nothing to stop us right now. If I just get rid of all this, nothing to actually stop us like taking out this 110K level, which is what we discussed last stream, and effectively coming down to take out this low here that was made and explore more of the weekly FEG. Because right now, if we dump right here, we've still just made on this time frame, it's a high, but if on the daily, it's effectively making a lower high here if we close back below this, because we've not yet broken this wick up here. So who knows? This could actually be a lower high still, and we still send down and actually take out these lows. We don't know yet, but yeah. TLD, I just want to see a high-low form, or I want to see all-time high broken with some force.
Yeah, cool, good framework. All right, I'll let you go because we're running out of time, but thanks for joining. And I'll probably come on later and to just talk on-chain stuff now that people have a bit more of a gauge on the technicals and where the overall market sits.
Cool. No worries. We'll reconvene on Thursday, yeah?
Yes. Yeah, last Thursday, literally, it was just the exact same as before, so there's nothing to report, but we'll definitely aim for that.
Sounds good.
Cool, guys. Catch you later.
Peace.